Good morning. It's the morning of the 9th of September 2019 and we're doing another video on how Ealing is changing, and we're looking at some of the changes in the centre of Ealing. We've moved just down the road to Percival House. Now, Spencer Percival was probably the most famous person who lived in Ealing. He moved here to Ealing Common in 1808 with his family, with 12, 13 maybe children. In 1809 he became Prime Minister, and in 1812 he was assassinated. Percival House itself was built in 1982 and it will probably get demolished, assassinated next year, but it's 39 years. It's not as good as poor old Spencer Percival's 49 years. Now what Gallup would try, propose to the council, is to knock all this down, including the car park, and build at least 500 flats with 4 tower blocks by the railway. What will the council get out of it? Well, the council will get for free new council offices and a new customer centre and a new central library. They will be at the front of the building here. The offices will cover half the space that the council has got now in Percival House, and the library, by my calculation, will be no bigger and possibly smaller from the central library we now have in the Ealing Broadway Centre. So that's going to be the future for this site. Behind me we have Ealing Town Hall, which was built in 1888. It's a Gothic Victorian splendour, and a few years later Victoria Hall was added, which is the largest hall that anybody can hire in Ealing. Okay. Now Victoria Hall was paid for by public subscription by rich worthies in Ealing, and it's run and managed by a charity, the Victoria Hall Trust. Now, many times in the last 10 years, the council has complained that it's short of money, it can't afford the costs of maintaining the town hall. So in 2014 it announced it was going to have it converted to a hotel. And in 2016 it announced that it had chosen Masscraft to be the hotel builder. In January 2019 we had a planning application which was published, in which Masscraft said they wanted to take over most of the town hall. The bit that will be retained by the council will be the council chamber and some other rooms. The planning application meant that most of the town hall would be taken over by Masscraft for 250 years. The council will retain the use of the council chamber and some other buildings. However, part of the deal appeared to be Victoria Hall, which the council doesn't manage or run. Of course, it's the trust that runs that. But what campaigners and local groups realised to their horror was that it wasn't really within the council's gift to give Victoria Hall and the Prince's Hall, which is also part of the charitable trust. A number of groups, including Save Ealing Centre, Ealing Civic Society, CPAC, it's the Performing Arts campaign, and Ealing Voice, employed solicitors and did some research on this and found out that in fact the trust had been incompetently managed for decades. No separate accounts have been kept. The monies that came in should have been used for the upkeep of Victoria Hall, and any spare used for philanthropic or for the benefit of Ealing residents. What has happened to the planning application is it's now pending, and it's pending because the council had to apply to the Charity Commission to have a variation in the objects, in other words the function of the trust. Nobody knows how the Charity Commission will react. Both the council and the local stakeholders have employed lawyers. One of the key areas of incompetence by the council is it's been seen to be acting representing the council and the charity. And of course the beneficiaries of charities are people like me and the people who are watching this video, right? So if the Charity Commission decides that this deal is not in the interests of the beneficiaries, it may well decide that the trust needs to be wound up. And if that's the case, they'll look for another relevant charity to take it over. One has been formed, and it's called the Friends of Victoria Hall, and they're in the process of registering and setting up as a charitable body. Let's see what happens next. If the council loses, I suspect the hotel deal won't go through. If the council wins, I suspect we'll lose most of the hotel for 250 years, although climate change specialists will tell you within 100 years we'll all be underwater anyway. Two other points. There are plenty of hotels around here. There are 3 fairly new ones within walking distance. Just 150 yards from here, Premier Inn are going to build another Premier Inn with 91 rooms. So do we really need another hotel? And also, finally, although all London councils have complained for years and years that they're starved of money, how is it that some parts of London have been able to find the money to repair, restore and represent their town halls as magnificent buildings? Hackney have done it, Limehouse has done it and Shoreditch has done it. Why not can't Ealing do it? Thank you for watching Exposurebox.